It's almost Valentine's Day, and the perfect gift for the man in your life? Come on, you know we're going to say the perfect jean. From skinny to athletic fit jeans, v-neck shirts, hoodies, even jean shorts, since February in Miami is a chilly 80 degrees. Maybe your man prefers options for his Valentine's gift. The perfect jeans got you covered with gift cards from $50 to $250. Who says you can't buy love? Kidding! And as always, using promo code Pero20 at theperfectjean.nyc gets you 20% off your first order, excluding gift card orders. That's right, Pero20 gets you 20% off all their items. So this Valentine's Day, tell the man you love to his khakis and get his gift from the Perfect Jean. And don't forget, use code Pero20 for 20% off your order.
This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Yeah. Tony Braxton. Oh. Who do you think I am? Don't you know that he was my man? Well, and I chose to let him go.
I know who you think you are.
Some kind of superstar?
You have got to.
Move it. Shake it.
And start the podcast for 2023.
Oh, man. I fell right into that one. I thought we were going. I knew we were going somewhere. I just didn't think we were going there.
That's what happens when we don't record for over a month.
For a month and a half.
For a month and change. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I know. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. Our first episode of 2023.
It's crazy to say that.
Our season 6 premiere. Our season 6.
I want to say I don't know how I feel about that, but I do know how I feel about that. I feel great about that.
Oh, well, I feel great about too, but you know, it's funny that the beginning of the season is of our podcast season. It, you know, coincides with the beginning of the calendar year. Right. So, you know, I always think like, I always think about it in that way. It's like,
okay, that's fair.
We have our summer sessions and, you know, we have like our fall, you know, so like, that's what I think of now. Now I think the same way that I think March, we think
through a 5-day?
No. Also, well, really? When you think of March, what do you think that's iconic? That's in March?
St. Patrick's Day?
The fair?
Oh, the fair. I was thinking holidays. Sorry.
The fair is a holiday.
No, the fair is a lifestyle.
Well, that is true. Now, when I think January, I think, oh, New Year's, Rose Parade, all that bullshit, you know, 1099, W-2s, and Pero Let Me Tell You premiering.
That's true.
You know,
I love that our premiere in W-2s.
Well, I mean, yeah. Now's when you get your W-2s, your 1099s, and you start seeing H&R Block commercials.
That's true. It's all of those tax preparers.
So welcome, everyone. Welcome. We missed you guys.
We did.
We are back, season 6. What episode is this?
235.
235.
It's a nice round number to start with.
Yeah. 5 is an odd number, but it feels even.
It's a round number
in
a weird way.
It's oval.
It's
it's oval. Well, it's not round.
I'm going to say that from now on. I'll be like, that's a nice oval number.
An oval. A perfect oval.
Right. Well, con lo caro que están los huevos.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love that meme that went around of the egg dealers.
Yes.
So we have a lot to talk about. You know, we've been gone for a long time.
Yes.
If you are listening to us now, thank you for the support, for being with us.
And if you're new, welcome.
But you know, thank you for this ride that we are on our 6th season. I know, you know, if you're a faithful listener, we say this all the time and we sound like a broken record, but when we really started the podcast back in 2018, we really thought that we're like, well,
10 episodes max.
Yeah, you know, then we could say, oh, well, it could be like a story, right?
Right.
Like, oh, you know, remember the time we had a podcast
right.
that we tried podcasting? You know, we were pretty sure we were going to get 20 listens in our first week, and then that was going to be our peak.
We were going to peak at 20. Yes.
We're gonna
talk about round numbers
and go down from there, and then, you know, got none, and then, you know, we've developed a great, you know,
global
global
family.
listenership, and we love everybody that listens to us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So thank you. This is going to be an awesome season. It's going to be a great year for everybody.
Yes,
Let's be positive. There's a lot of things going on, but it's going to be a great year for everybody. So thank you so much for having us back in your radios, in your cars, in your commute to work,
in your life,
limpiando la casa, sacando la basura. I don't know about that. Our episodes are too long.
Well, but if you're listening while you do it, like después que terminaste de limpiar la casa, you have to throw out like the paper towels.
It's funny that now in the age of AirPods, I mean, because obviously there's always been earphones, and and even before the AirPods that were wireless, that were still pretty discreet. But now in the age of AirPods, like you could go everywhere. You could go to the doctor's office and have them on, and nobody knows.
I have.
Oh, okay. So it's like, I see people shopping in Publix, and I'm like, imagine if they're listening to Pero Let Me Tell You while they shop.
We should do a whole thing where we just randomly go up to people with earpods and ask, what are you listening to?
What are you listening to?
Yes.
What are you listening to? That reminds me of something I want to talk about that I saw over the break, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Before we start our regular programming, we have to thank Cawy.
Yes. Oh my God. I love you y me quedo corto.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cawy. Thank you so much, Alex, and the whole Cawy family for letting us, again, we've said this already several times on Insta, but for letting us play at the factory.
And doing the whole Laverne and Shirley thing that, many of you probably
Which if you haven't seen it, go to Instagram.
Go to Instagram.
Or TikTok.
Or the whole Laverne and Shirley thing, it was one of those things that, like, I was like, for a long time, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we went to the Jupiña factory and like redid the Laverne and Shirley intro? And it was one of those things that you think about, but it's like, it's never going to happen.
Right.
And then, after we met Alex and he was so awesome, I was thinking like, okay,
now we're never.
Okay, maybe he'll give us a tour of the factory, but there's no way that they're going to let us go into a working factory and shoot all this stuff and do all these hijinks. Yeah, I mean, we were riding in a freaking forklift, fun. and there's no way they're going to let us do that. I mean, and not only did we do it, but Alex was like encouraging. He's like, come on, let's get the forklift. And I'm like, okay.
Un poco man. He's like, do you want to swim in the Jupiña? Like,
But I loved that we were able to do that. Not only because it was fun and we got to do the whole Laverne and Shirley thing, but, again, it was something that we sort of mentioned this, 5 seasons ago, and it goes to show when you put things out there in the universe, a lot of times they come. And
it tends to happen a lot for us.
Yes. So thank you so much to Alex, to all of Cawy for having us over. It was really an honor and a pleasure, and I hope that you all enjoyed the little.
And you're gonna love the interview we did with him as well. It's gonna be airing in a couple of weeks, as part of our our Hangueando episodes, as you guys are familiar with now. It was great. It was great.
It's funny because I was showing it to my aunt the other day, our intro, and she's like, ¿y por qué ustedes empezaron con sana culito de rana? And I go, bueno, porque en el original digo shklomio. I mean,
and that doesn't translate. That doesn't translate. No.
I mean, no. Imagine if I can't even say it right.
I think it's Yiddish.
It is Yiddish.
Okay.
And then Hassenpfeffer Incorporated. I don't even know how to say it. Like, I was like, we're going to have to do like 20 takes. So obviously we did something that was a little bit more, pertaining to us. But again, thank you so much for Jupiña. So, what was...
I think next season, by the way, for our teaser, we should do the intro to Dos Mujeres Un Camino.
Oh my God.
And you have to be Laura León.
I'm not doing Laura León.
We'll see from here to next year what happens, listeners.
No, what I was going to say is, so when I went home, after we shot the video and I went home and, I was speaking to my parents and I was telling them how excited about it. My dad asked me, which I thought this was really interesting because Alex, was talking to us about that. My dad's like, ay, ¿cuándo ellos van a empezar a vender otra vez a Cawy?
We've gotten a bunch of people actually asking about that.
And my dad was like, porque a mí Cawy me gusta más que el Sprite.
Well, yeah, a lot of people have been asking about that on Insta and on TikTok. They're like, oh my God, I haven't had Cawy in years. And, it's just funny that, a brand that you and I aren't necessarily as familiar with as we are with, with the Jupiña Mateba, still has that love.
Yeah.
And we do touch on that in the interview. So, I don't want to give too much away.
Right.
But it's definitely something that again, just to show you how long this brand has been around, right? And it just lives in our collective hearts and memories.
Right. So yeah, that was awesome. So bueno, moving into our regularly scheduled programming.
Wait, really quick. Today's Friday. Unseen Creatures will be there until they close with Pim Pam Pollo. All right.
I was about to think, is there anything that we're plugging? Because,
we're always plugging the chicken.
Yeah. So this past week we had, well, I was going to say in a bit of an emergency. No, we had a full blown emergency with my dad, which I thought was really Alanis Morissette, ironic moments. That on last Friday we had a pop up.
Yeah,
we had a pop up,
yeah.
And I, we had finished the pop up. We had come back. We had put all the stuff away.
I had just left your house.
You had just left my house. I had cleaned some stuff.
Yeah.
To leave soaking overnight. I go upstairs. I turn on the shower.
Yeah, you were decompressing.
I turn on the shower, obviously to take a shower, and it was like 12:15, and I see my uncle call, and I'm like, "Well, somebody's in the hospital." Like,
why else is he calling you at midnight?
I was like, "No, somebody is in the hospital for sure." So obviously, it was my dad. So my dad was in the hospital. He had like a sudden uptick in his blood pressure. Actually, it went to like over 240. It was bad. So this is a very Miami story that, if you're obviously from Miami, you would appreciate it. So because he was having an emergency, like his blood pressure was 241 over 119. Like,
that's not
it was
good.
crazy. It was crazy, and he was throwing up. It was bad. The rescue came to my parents' house, and they were like, "Okay, we have to take him to Kendall." And my mom's Kendall, no. Okay, so
a little background for those of you like our Australia listeners.
So Kendall Regional Hospital is a hospital that is here in Miami, which actually is the closest hospital to my parents' house.
It's maybe like 6 blocks.
But for some reason, that hospital has a bad reputation.
Yes.
Mind you, it's one of these things that even if the hospital actually is a great hospital,
it has a rep as a Mata Viejo.
Yes. And then it's one of these things that that's just the reputation it has. Even though it's a great hospital, it has
it may have been that years and years ago.
It's one of the few trauma centers in Miami. Yeah. But that's just the reputation that it has. So my mom's like, "No, Ami Kendall." No, mind you, they still call it Ami Kendall. It hasn't been Ami Kendall in like 30 years.
What is it called now?
Well,
I call it Kendall Regional.
It was it was Kendall Regional forever, for a long time. Now it's HCA or something.
I will never call it that.
So anyway, because no, pero para el Baptist. No, ma'am, we can't go to Baptist. It
was too dire, right.
Para Ami Kendall. So we go to Kendall. So whatever, the doctors were great. Everybody, the staff was great. It was very professional. I only have good things to say about the medical staff there. So he finally got admitted, and which, getting admitted in any hospital, like I think you could go walking to China and back, and like
it's okay. He went in an ambulance.
It will take less time than getting admitted to a hospital. So he gets admitted to the hospital, to a room after being in the emergency room several hours, and we're there, and obviously you're very tense, you're very nervous, you're very
by this point it's like 2 a.m.
No. This was like at 8 a.m. because he went in like at 12:30, and he was in the emergency room. They had to stabilize him. So that once he was stable, then they could give him admit him.
So you're beyond exhausted.
No, yeah, I don't even know. I was like hallucinating when we drove up to New York. So excuse me. So here it was like 8:30 in the morning. We had all been up like, I don't know, 50 hours. I still smelled like chicken, from Pim Pam Pollo. And, whatever. My phone was down to like 2%. It was one of those moments. And I loved that then, like the maid comes in, like the one who does like the maid
the janitorial staff.
Right. And my mom's like, "Ay, usted me puede traer un juguito." And she's like, "Ma'am, señora, yo no soy quien traigo los jugos." She was like super Cuban. And
she's like, "How dare you?"
And then I see her in the hallway, and it was like one expletive over another. ¿Por qué no? Porque todas estas son una juaga y tienen, tú sabes, I'm not going to say it here.
Right. La
tienen grande. Míralas ahí echándose fresco. Like super, like if she was in a Solán,
So what you're saying is that this was her part-time and the other part-time was at the bakery.
So then she was a janitorial staff. A few minutes or sometime later, the nurse was talking to somebody on the phone, full blast, and expletive after expletive. And I was looking at this, And I was like, on the one hand, this is super unprofessional.
Right.
And if I were to complain about this, they could potentially get fired because it was like one curse word after another after another. They were extremely inappropriate. That is a hospital. Right. You do not speak that way.
You have to have a certain decorum. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Chumeria's comforting.
That's the next shirt, ladies and gentlemen. Chumeria's comforting.
It is. Chumeria's comforting. And you know what? My mom and I were looking at each other while all this was happening.
Like, is this really happening?
Yes. And you know my mom and the look,
That's
right?
That's true.
My mom's look. So listeners, my mom has that typical señora, like, cubana that will look you up and down, very, very judgmental way. And we were looking at each other and, for that amount of time, we weren't thinking about it. Right? And we're like, this is so comforting. I feel warm now. It's like our people being chuma. Like, chumeria's comforting. You know what I mean? It's
I don't know that I would have felt that way necessarily in that instance, but if I would have been like in another state and that would have been happening, I would have been like, oh, I'm home.
Yes. But that's because, obviously a hospital is such a, no pun intended, sterile environment.
Right. Very quiet. Very,
yes. And you're,
peaceful,
again, and you're so
professional.
So tense,
it's a professional.
Again, that is a nice break in the sterile monotony. That, this woman was calling out half of the hospital for being lazy. Screaming out, no, porque la tienen grandísima. And I'm like, oh my God, this isn't a hospital in the United States. But somehow I love this. Somehow I love this and I love it right now. So,
it helped. It helped you through.
My mom and I were cracking up. And it's so funny because my dad, at that time, we thought my dad was sleeping, and then later...
how?
He was like... No, because he was knocked out.
Oh.
He was like, esas mujeres estaban diciendo esas cosas. Esas I'm like, they sure were.
Your dad thought he was like hallucinating
for the
drugs?
They sure were. Yeah. But, thankfully my dad's okay.
That's good. That's good.
He had a really bad case of vertigo. I didn't know vertigo could fuck you up like that.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was, yeah.
Does he have vertigo
No.
Does his first bout?
Yes, I thought vertigo.
That he knows of.
I thought vertigo was un mareito. I mean, not that I knew anything of vertigo. Let's be honest.
But I didn't know I could do that to your blood pressure.
Yes, it can, because your body in such disarray, and your body goes into such shock and anxiety, and that your blood pressure goes up.
Like your body tries to recalibrate itself.
It was weird because my dad, has always had an issue with hypertension, but never
like that. Yeah.
241 over 119.
No.
I didn't even know blood pressure can go up to 241. I don't know. I thought it stopped at 190.
Well, it's 191. He's dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it went up to 190 because you never really hear people over 190, right? And it's always like, tengo la presión en 182 por 90. Ay, qué alta.
Llama Requio.
Right, but not 241 over 119.
That's crazy.
They were doing a bunch of tests on him, like cardiac wise, and thank God they were well. But then, so they weren't sure what it was. But then, when he was seen by his cardiologist and they did an MRI and all this stuff, they're like, we're pretty sure it's vertigo. And I was like, whoa, vertigo can F you up.
Wow. Wow. Who knew?
Vertigo. So, yeah. So where did you come from today?
So I came from, we're recording this on Fake Friday. History Miami, we've been exhibited there already. They
oh yes, where they have a
we've been exhibited at History Miami. So they are currently having an exhibit celebrating 50 years of Willy Chirino's music career, which is one of those things where when you hear 50 years, you're like, well, that makes sense, but you don't realize it's been 50 years. You know what I mean? Like, because he's just always kind of been there, for our lives. As I say, if your mother didn't listen to the Oxígeno album while she was cleaning on a Saturday morning, are you even a Cuban from Westchester?
Medias negra.
Thank you. Yes. Don't touch the banana. La noche perfecta.
Tengo la vida colgando de un hilito.
Right. Icon. So they have an exhibit. Tonight they had a opening party in his honor, and it was really, 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 really lovely. They have a whole exhibit with his awards, his suits, which we'll be posting. He spoke you know, he sang one song with this singing group called Café con Leche, made up of kids from the Frost Music School. But the best part was that I got to take my mother. Now, my mother will sit here and tell you that she remembers cuando Willy Chirino, antes de ser Willy Chirino, si yo iba a las tambolas cuando tocaba Willy Chirino ahí en el hipódromo, you know, or whatever, this and that. With all that said, there did come a moment where I thought maybe my mother was going to get arrested.
Was she fangirling all over Willy Chirino?
My mother... I have pictures. I have a video where my mother's essentially video bombing. Willy Chirino's there singing with like some like this like rapper guy, this other girl or whatever, and my mother's like kind of next to him, like coming out like from the corner, you know, trying to get a picture. My mother tried to get like 7 pictures with him, one-on-one. It didn't work out, so all of my mother's pictures are basically her standing next to him, but he's looking elsewhere. And it got to a point where she's like, "Ay, está en el red carpet, voy a ir." And I'm like, I was talking to Gio at the time, and I was like, I'll be right back because I need to go make sure my mother does not get arrested. Like, I just have to go make sure this doesn't happen.
Imagine if we were watching the news later. It's like, local woman.
No, Jose was like, ¿Tú te imaginas que tu mamá winds up on Only in Dade? I'm like, oh no. No. I do not want that to happen for me. But, no, it was just really cool. I mean, you know, he's one of these people who, you know, he looks great. I didn't realize how tall he was.
Yeah, he's tall.
But like, crazy tall.
Yeah,
and then the thing is that Lisette's very short, so he looks taller.
You know, Lisette, his wife. You know, we all know Lisette.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, she only goes by her first name. You know?
Is she Lisette Chirino? Like,
I mean, legally, I guess. You know, like, if I was to say Cher, like, I don't know her, but it's
What's
Cher.
Cher's last name?
I don't know. Does she have one?
Okay.
See, my mind goes to Horowitz, but that's from Clueless.
Okay, so your mom was fangirling.
So my mom was totally fangirling, but it was a nice event. You know, there was a lot of people there. There was again, Gio from Chat Chow was there. Ruben Rabasa was there. Javier Romero, just a bunch of it was just really cool. And it's one of those events that is such a Miami event, right? Because even though he's global, even though he's, you know, his music is known across the world, there's something about him that it's just, we feel like an ownership.
Yeah, it's sort of like with Gloria.
Like with Gloria, but in a different way.
Well, because I think that Willy Chirino is more
because
like
he sings in Spanish.
Yes, and he's more like OG in the sense that he didn't really do pop music, you know, which Gloria Estefan did.
Right.
He did, you know, salsa.
Yeah.
So it's like OG.
Yeah. And I keep forgetting he's Pedro Pan.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that so Ya Viene Llegando.
Yeah.
When that song came out, we were kids. And I have to be honest.
We were in middle school.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I didn't like it because I didn't, you know, I was like 11, 12.
You were also going through your rebellious, I hate everything Cuban phase.
Right. But you know, when you're 11,
you can appreciate
when
it.
you're 10 or 11, you're not necessarily jamming to the latest salsa songs, right? It doesn't matter who you are. That's not the type of music that you're generally in, right? And
then a song like that.
And the song kind of annoyed me because that song, when it came out, it was just so... since it was so relevant, it was on over and over and over again, at least here locally. So I was like, oh my God, not that song again.
I used to hate the break where we go into El Himno Nacional.
But I have to tell you that now, as an adult, and now somebody who has a different perspective of this and you know, and all that, I hear that song and I get goosebumps. Like, I get goosebumps. Like, I really, really do. And now, because the song is over 30 years old, it like now it has a different meaning than it's even sadder now.
Right.
Because when that song came out, it was very hopeful.
It was like, it's around the corner.
Que viene llegando. It's coming. It's coming.
And
it's
now
only a matter of time.
And now here we are after Castro's death.
Yes.
And we're still in the same place.
And the song is 30-some years old.
Right.
And like, you know, we're kind of still stuck. No, we are stuck.
We're running in place. Yeah.
So now it's like nostalgic, but like really sad at the same time.
Melancholic.
Yes, that it's still no llegó.
Yeah, no,
you know?
estamos en lo mismo. Yeah.
So
it's funny because I don't think of him as a songwriter. I totally forget that he is a songwriter, though.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's just one of those things that, like, again, I don't know if it's because maybe having grown up in this country, you know, we are geared more towards, like you said, pop music, right? So when I think of, you know, singer-songwriter, which again, congrats to Gloria Estefan for being the first Latina inductee into the Songwriter Hall of Fame. I don't always think of not Spanish singers, but like salsa singers as singer-songwriters. I always think of them as
because I think
singer.
I think that salsa music, correct me if I'm wrong, and somebody may think differently. I think that when you listen to a salsa song, the music and the beat and the rhythm is what captures you. It's not so much
the lyrics.
The lyrics.
Right.
Unless it's like Devórame otra vez, you know?
Oh, well. I mean,
Devórame otra vez is like another category, you know?
I mean, you're telling somebody to devour you again.
Yeah. I love that meme that came out. I've seen it already a bunch of times of this girl. You know, you can tell she's in her early 20s, that she's like, my mom gives me crap for listening to the lyrics of Bad Bunny.
Yes.
And then, you know, she puts on the screen the lyrics to Devórame otra vez, and her mom is like jamming in the car to that song. And I'm like, yeah, the lyrics of that song are pretty...
They're up there.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. No, that was a great event. Glad you were able to go.
Yeah, I'm happy I took my mom.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. New year, new resolutions. Lose weight, improve your finances, try new hobbies. But what about resolving to improve your mental health? I mean, improving those other resolutions will probably go better if you start with your mental well-being, and BetterHelp can guide you on that path. A customized online therapy provider, BetterHelp has options via phone, video, text, or even live sessions with a certified therapist, all on your time. BetterHelp matches you with a therapist in under 48 hours based on your needs, helping you better understand yourself. And as a special offer for Pero Let Me Tell You listeners, you can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/pero. Again, betterhelp.com/pero. It's already more affordable than in-person therapy, and now you can save on your first month. We should start the new year improving ourselves, and BetterHelp can help you take the first step on that path. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/pero. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. Your mom. So, you know, we always talk about my parents on Pero Let Me Tell You. But your mom, I feel, needs more attention. So, listeners, I think that one day we should have a bonus episode of just your mom
telling stories.
His mom is the type of storyteller that you're like, wait, what happened next? Like, I don't think she intends to be.
It's not a thing that she's
right. The greatest story ever. And again, we should have her on the show as a bonus episode so she could just tell. Many years ago, they went to New York. Ish's went to New York with his mom, his sister, and his grandparents. The story of his mom saying about their trip, about los viejos, que esto no es sandwich.
It's sandwich.
Was it the Cat's Deli or whatever?
It was one of the big Carnegie Deli or something.
Right.
Yeah, one of the big delis.
You know,
Yeah.
Big, deli.
World famous.
That they had like a pastrami sandwich.
But the thing was that it was open faced.
Right. Like they are because they're about, 25 feet tall.
Right.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, who mind you, my grandmother doesn't even like sandwiches. Right. So this is not like a sandwich expert.
Right.
That comes and she's like, no, pero ¿por qué está así el sándwich?
Yeah.
No, pero eso, no, ellos no saben hacer sándwiches. Mind you, it's like, Katz's or Carnegie, like it's they're kind of world renowned.
But I love your mom. I love your mom saying that story because it's so like detailed and like you're like engaging. Like I was like, I really wanted to know what was going on with the sandwich and like it was great. We should have her on. So
if only to tell every story from that trip, especially my grandfather and the cheesecake.
Yeah. Anyway, so, in our time off, a few things have happened.
Yes.
So one of the things that I don't think we talked about, I think this was kind of unraveling at the end of our last season, at the end of the year, but it kind of took a full...
And then we were off, and
yes.
And it was Christmas.
Isn't this George Santos thing?
It's wonderful.
It's like delicious. It's like a buffet.
It's been a while since we've had something that is fun.
You know what?
A fun current event.
You know what?
Because there's nothing malicious going on here. You know what I mean? In the sense that, like,
there kind of is.
Well, but nobody's getting hurt.
Well, yeah, because you're not in his district.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. No, but you know what I mean. Like,
well, yes, he didn't kill anyone.
Right,
well, that we know of.
Right, that we know. Well, who knows at this point?
Okay, it's just... the thing about the George Santos trajectory, and at this point in time, I don't need to introduce this. Everybody knows what's going on with George Santos. I don't have to be like,
I hope you guys know,
listeners,
yeah.
for those of you who don't know,
Right.
like, it's just, when you think, it's like, okay, it can't get any worse.
You're at bottom.
Right.
There's
It's like,
more bottom.
No, it's like, okay, so now he was a drag queen. I don't know why. I think his drag queen, it's not. His drag queen name is Cherche la Femme.
Where the hell did you pull that from?
The name of the song.
No, I know, but why do you... He's not even French. He's Brazilian.
I know, but well, it's not like this is supposed to make sense.
Okay, fair enough.
But I just think that, like, it because look, a lot of people lie about their, you know,
a lot of people exaggerate their accomplishments.
right, but you know, especially when it comes down to like their work experience and like
Right.
their
We've all embellished on our
educational
resume. Right.
experience. But he just like that was like, okay, hold my beer.
Yeah,
Like,
right. He fabricated out of whole cloth.
right. It's like I'm fabricating an entire experience, like you know, and you know the whole thing now
that he killed his mother on 9/11.
his mom died in 9/11,
But she
and then
didn't.
he's not even consistent about it, right?
Like Judge Judy says, if you are not a liar, then you don't have to worry about telling the, you know, como es? Then you don't have to worry about telling the truth
Yeah.
because you don't have to remember anything.
Right.
You don't have to remember.
Right. But again, like you would think that somebody that ran for office,
Get your story straight.
right, because I mean, look, I work in politics, and he was running for a pretty big congressional district, so I imagine that he had a consultant.
You would hope.
And usually, when you hire a consultant, there's a vetting process, right? In terms of like what's out there about you. Let's clean up your social media.
Right.
Let's get these things deleted.
Let me know ahead of time what are the controversies. Right.
So I would like to think that he had a political consultant. Most campaigns do, but then again, maybe he didn't.
Right.
But the thing with him is just that it's like all these twists and turns, you know, like when the whole drag queen thing came out, I was like, no, they photoshopped that image. But then he said that he had fun doing performances like that,
like, you know, in his youth or whatever.
or something like that. And then I'm not sure if he really is gay or he's not. Not that's the least of the
at this point.
the least. But then, you know, the whole thing of that he opened up a nonprofit for cats for abuse. Yes,
I didn't know this
and
one.
he didn't take he didn't use the money for the cats to like save the cat. Yeah, it's like save the cats.
Do you think that he wanted to open a nonprofit for like the musical Cats?
It was that bad. And then it's just the $700,000 campaign finances that he allegedly loaned to himself, which you can do that if you do it. But you
have to claim it. You have to.
But then his taxes, he only made like 50 grand. So how did he loan himself $700,000? It's just one of these things that I feel two ways about it, because on the one hand, it's among all the other things, they're laughing at not only at democracy, but at the establishment that is, you know, government. And you know, at the end of the day, we could say whatever we want politically, and there may be a lot of characters right now as elected officials who
are batshit crazy.
Yes. But at the end of the day, I would like to think that serving your country and being an elected member of Congress is something that is prestigious and it's of higher service, and you're doing something for your constituents, right? I would like to still think that. And this is making a mockery of the system, that this man could just go in there and like completely make up all this stuff and win.
Because he didn't embellish. He created.
He completely.
Right.
Completely. And then, you know, the whole thing with him being Jewish.
Oh, yeah. That was
right. When I meant Jewish.
That was great, though. I'm going to give him credit for that one. Yeah, that was creative.
He's like, I never said I was Jewish. I said I was Jewish. Right? Because, you know, when we take our DNA test, you know, we all have a little
Ashkenazi, you know, somewhere
in us, right? Even if it's a 0.02, right? That's what he meant. I'm a little Jewish. I'm like, really? Really? Okay. All right.
He likes locks on his bagel. That's what he meant.
So yeah, it's making a mockery. And if you're in his district, I mean, this man can't get anything done. But on the other hand, you know, the way that things have been politically recently, that it's so like, you know, murder each other and like so.
Right.
This is sort of like
That's what I mean.
in a way, like refreshing.
That's what I mean. Like, this is a
weird
fun
way. Like, really? Like, okay.
It's something we can all laugh at collectively.
Right. It's no insurrection.
Right. And that's the bar. That's the bar now, kids.
I guess. But yeah, George Santos. Well, I mean, maybe he'll be Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Like,
Well, he probably is already in his mind.
well,
I'm surprised he hasn't just said that he found some classified documents in his garage, too.
I don't know.
At this point, there might be some in this room.
Yeah, he probably knows where Amelia Earhart is. He probably interviewed her.
He is the Limburg baby.
He is. He is. He knows what's in the box that Yolanda Saldívar.
Okay, that I want to explore with him. Because what if he does?
Yeah, and he knows unlock the whole mystery of Selena.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's ask about that one, though.
Yeah. So
Important things, damn it. Important. Speaking of important things, this is one of those stories that's just bizarre, but I like it and I'm gonna go with it. So I don't know if you heard about this story or not. Did you hear? I think it happened like this week or last week, recently. There was a pastor. I think it was a pastor, priest, some holy man, as it were, who claims that he had a near-death experience, and that when he died, he unfortunately wound up going to hell. And that when he was in hell...
So he literally went to hell and back?
He went to hell and back. And he says that in hell, the demons were singing to torture people, Don't Worry, Be Happy, and Rihanna's Umbrella.
What? This is satire.
I wish that it were. This is, again, whether it really happened or not, good luck proving it. But this is what he has said, that there were and that
Okay, because see, the Don't Worry, Be Happy, I see the irony of that, right?
Right.
Of you getting to hell and
they're
Bobby
like,
McFerrin,
Don't worry, be happy. Right.
No. I hear the original
Oh,
version.
no, because he said it was the demons singing it like in like demonic voices.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I could see the irony
Of that one. Right.
Umbrella is the one, but I guess Umbrella, because I've always thought that Umbrella has a bit of a haunting melody.
Right, which is why we like the Mandy Moore version.
Yeah, and so I could see if a chorus of demons were singing Umbrella.
Ella, Ella, Ella.
You're making shit up at this
I
point.
wish that I were. I swear to God.
You're lying.
I'm so not like listeners. This is a story that made the rounds.
Where is he from? Is he from Florida?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't
because
know.
everything starts with Florida.
Everything
man.
does start with Florida Man, but I don't know about that one. But yeah, I think I even saw it was like on EW.
Well, that's a credible source.
Well, it's not like it was Breitbart.
Well, he's probably going to have a spin-off of, some reality show.
But I thought it was great. I was like, wait, that's what they're playing in hell? Here we go. Pastor says he went to hell and heard demons torturing sinners with Rihanna's Umbrella. He was a Texas pastor.
Oh, Corey. Oh, I got it.
They were also reciting lyrics to Bob Marley and Jasmine Sullivan tunes. I don't know who Jasmine Sullivan is.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say Jasmine Guy. Because Jasmine Guy had like an album that
Oh, wait. This isn't even recent. He had the Journey to Hell in 2016.
Oh, but he's talking about it now. Did he write a book?
He shared a video on a social media site. He said that it occurred after his spirit left his body and traveled to the center of the earth because that's where hell is.
Right. In the core.
Well, it's the hottest place. There he was treated to the perks of the fiery abyss, including what can only be described as a performance art piece involving a man burned from head to toe, being dog-walked by a demon holding a chain. So think of like a more crispy version of when the Spice Girls did Holler. Then, pardon the pun, all hell broke loose. There's a section in hell where music was playing. It was the same music we hear on Earth, but as opposed to entertainers... Okay. The music, demons were singing it. It was some of the same lyrics we hear here.
Okay, so do we know what his near-death experience was? Maybe he was just having a really bad case of indigestion.
It was... I don't know. But yeah. Every lyric to every song is to torment you as to the fact that you didn't worship God through music when you were on earth. You had a chance to worship him in church and at home and through music, but you chose to worship Satan.
Okay, let's move right along.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, like, if this is true, what would be playing in your version of hell? Like, what I brought it up because I wanted to ask that. Like, what song would be just on repeat in hell?
The song
for you?
in this world that I hate the most is "Will You Be My Bodyguard" by
by Paul Simon
and Chevy Chase.
Well, Chevy Chase is in the video.
I don't
that
even
would
wanna,
be in a loop.
I don't even want to talk about it because now I'm going to think of the song. I'm thinking of the song right now, and I'm torturing myself because I hate that. Not only do I, because there's songs that I don't like, but that song is particularly annoying, and it gets me upset. And
but do you know what that song is about?
I don't care.
That song is about apartheid.
Oh, now you make me feel like a whore. It is?
Yeah.
That song is about apartheid?
Yep.
Just like Fragile by Sting is about Pinochet. Like, that song is about apartheid?
Yeah.
So Paul Simon could have written this meaningful, like, haunting, beautiful melody, and instead he wrote, "Will You Be My Bodyguard?"
Yeah.
Well, it's about ending apartheid.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think Paul Simon's pro-apartheid.
And he's singing a song about apartheid, and he has Chevy Chase in the video sitting next to him doing all types of silly things. No. I still don't. No. That song is awful. Don't tell me that song is good.
I just don't think of that song one way or the other.
Oh, I do. I felt that song back in the 90s when VH1 would have,
Oh, yeah.
it was constantly like the top 100 videos, the top, every time there would be like a marathon of videos, somehow.
It was always in a countdown.
It was, yes. And I'm like, this is like the worst song ever. Like, why do I hear this song if it's so bad? And here we are talking about it on the premiere episode of season 6.
Yes. For me, it would be literally anything by Bob Dylan.
Oh.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's already sung by a demon.
Oh. I mean, a lot of people are probably mad at you right now, but...
You know what? Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
I stand by my statements.
So, some years ago, during the college years, there's this story that I love of Ish, that he told me he went on somewhere, like a mini road trip with some colleagues of him from the UM, and he's like, in the whole trip they were listening to Bob Dylan. I was like, mira, you know what you should have done?
I would have. You should have
gotten off at Port St. Lucie.
We were on 75.
Oh man, because I was like, you got off on Port St. Lucie, and I would have gone to pick you up. I would have driven you an hour and a half to save you, because I would have jumped out of the car. Like, I would have opened the door and
man. It was at that moment I realized I am not white.
I realized that Bob Dylan is a voice of a generation. I realized that his lyrics are very meaningful and profound. And I also realized that he's not our shtick.
He's not our generation.
He's not our generation. He's not our thing. But that, like you, it's one of those things that I don't get. Because there's a lot of music that I don't like, but I understand the appeal, right?
If we're talking about just like his songs, I'll give you that. Like you said, lyrically or whatever. You can tell me Bob Dylan singing like this is great. I'm like, you know what? Just no.
No. And at that point that we were in our 20s, it's like, but there's so much
fun.
Good music.
Yes.
This was in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Like throw on something from London. Like, anything.
But not Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Lord, no.
Because you know what? Like, you know who I'm not into her, but I totally get is like Joni Mitchell.
But at least she has a pleasant voice.
I totally get it. I get how she is so influential. I get it, especially to like women who are songwriters, how like she's sort of like the holy grail.
Right.
Like, I totally get it. I've listened to that album, Indigo,
sure,
or whatever, Indigo Blue or whatever. I've listened to it, and I get it. I don't have a single Joni Mitchell song on my on my iTunes, but I get it. But Bob Dylan,
No. Hard pass.
No.
Hard.
No way, Jose.
Nana Nina. That's all I got to say about that.
So what else is going on?
I'm just trying to think, like, what else has been going on? Let me see. Let me think. Oh, this is what happens when you and I go away for a while. We have we have all these topics, so we have to like download again in our head. All right. So while we were out, beacon of positivity, Lizzo.
Mm-hmm. She is.
She really is. I mean, love her, hate her, she's a beacon of positivity.
You know what? If you want to love Lizzo even more, the interview they did of her, I think it's like a couple of years old, on CBS Sunday Morning.
Oh, we're back. Drink.
The first reference of the season.
First of the season.
It is great because she goes back to her high school. And I've said that about her. Even if you don't care for her songs, she's so positive and she's so like just the same way that chusmeria is comforting. That
so
type
is Lizzo.
of warmness that
so
you
is
feel.
Lizzo.
Like Lizzo gives you like a warm feeling, like the world is gonna be okay. Oh, humanity isn't lost after all.
And that's a great transition.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight to put on Lizzo's shoulders. But
she plays Sasha Fierce, and so if she can handle that, she can handle anything. But she was saying earlier this month on Twitter that cancel culture has become quote unquote become trendy, misused, and misdirected, and she hopes we will all phase out of this and focus on what's really going on in the world. She went on to say, she's like, this may be a random time to say this, but it's on my heart. Cancel culture is appropriation. There was real outrage from truly marginalized people, and now it's become trendy, misused, and misdirected. I don't want people to be canceled. I want people to be held accountable and to receive consequences according to the bad action or crime that they did. So I thought that was great because it's kind of something you and I have been saying. I mean, maybe not as articulately as she did. But I don't think it's something new to us. Yeah. Where lately every time somebody says something quote unquote incorrect, it's like, you suck, you're canceled, I want you dead. Yeah. As opposed to like, wait, why are you saying that? There's gotta be levels.
Because I think that what's happened with all these commentaries is that it's black and white, right? And it isn't. There's a spectrum of things. If you misspoke, if you said something that was insensitive, that's one thing. If you go all Kanye West, that's another thing. That's a completely different
It's one thing to be on a live TV show in the middle of an interview and say something that mete la pata. Right.
And if you're gracious about it and you apologize and it's a teaching moment and a learning moment, we all make mistakes. That's how I felt ahora recently with this whole thing with Gwen Stefani and cultural appropriation.
Yes.
She said,
I still have a hard time in terms of finding the line between cultural appreciation and appropriation.
So let's deconstruct
on a personal level.
Let's deconstruct the whole Gwen Stefani thing. The reason why she came out on the news, and this ties into what Lizzo said about cancel culture in the news a couple of weeks ago, was because she did an interview with Allure magazine where she said, "I'm Japanese." When I read that, and I read the whole article, she said, "I'm Japanese. I'm a California girl. I'm something else. I'm from London," like stuff like that. To me, when I read that, it was pretty clear that I think what she meant was, the way when you go somewhere or you discover something and you have an affinity with it and you love it, you're like, oh my God, I'm totally this.
This is who I am.
This is I'm totally this, right? So that doesn't always come through in an interview,
especially
or in context, especially with her, that she does have a history of cultural appropriation. And I'll tell you why I do think that Gwen Stefani, it is cultural appropriation. And you and I had this, I don't know if we've had this conversation on the podcast.
We haven't.
But we certainly, in reference to Gwen Stefani, I know did have it before. When she came out with her solo album, Love Angel Music Baby, it was fun, it was cute and all that.
It was all Harajuku, right?
But if you really stop to look at it, she was using those girls as an accessory. She was.
Okay, that's fair.
Right. And I know that it was like a cute image and it was like the shtick, Love Angel Music Baby, I get what she was going through in terms of an aesthetic.
She was essentially, this may not be a apples to apples comparison, but it was like when Prince had, Diamond and Pearl.
No, because Diamond and Pearl, he wasn't necessarily a cultural appropriation thing, and they were singers.
Right. But I think in her mind, she was maybe going for something along that route.
Even the lyrics to Rich Girl, something Harashuku girls, I'd dress them wicked, I'd give them names, love, angel, music, baby, come.
Right,
so
right.
it's like she's sort of trivializing,
reducing them to a prop.
Right, to a prop.
Right.
Right. So I get why,
Cayó mal.
if I was Asian, I'd be like, okay, I'm not, my culture is not.
My culture's not your costume, for like Halloween.
Not only is it not your costume, but it's not something that's so like trivial and like what's the word I'm looking for? Disposable, that you can just be like, oh, these little Japanese girls, and I'm going to name them, like if they were little dolls. Right. So I can understand how that cae mal, because we as Cubans, when we see people doing like a bad Cuban accent,
right,
or like, represent Cubans as drug dealers, we are the first ones that we lose our shit,
right,
that we're like, but what is that? And,
right,
they need to do their research and all that. So I get what the criticism is.
Right.
I get it. And I understand that that's very sensitive. Do I think she should be canceled? No. Do I think that Gwen Stefani should disappear? No. I don't think, and I think that that's where the what Lizzo is saying is, should she be called out on it? Yeah, she should be told, hey, Gwen,
that was
love your music,
right,
and all that. But, maybe you shouldn't use somebody's culture as a prop. I think there's ways that even if it's a different culture than yours, that if you like and you feel something for it, that you can. There's a middle ground where you can.
There's a way to pay homage without
right, where you can pay homage and kind of if you want to dress like it or do your hair like it without it being made into like a character, because those were characters.
Well, they were, yeah.
They were. They were.
Yeah.
Like and she named them.
Yeah,
right.
They were cute names, but she named them.
And then she made perfumes about them.
Yes, she did. Yes, as my mother once said, "Cualquier perfume ese chucu chucu girl ese," and I'm like, "Harajuku girl," and she's like, "Sí, sí, ese mismo."
Yeah, and then the thing with cultural appropriation, it's very complicated and very layered, because then there's other times that, like, you and I have also had this conversation, like, a lot of times Madonna gets shit for cultural appropriation. For example, Vogue. That Vogue was
ballroom culture.
A ballroom culture, specifically with like, gay Latin,
right? Latin and black,
and Latin and black men from like the 80s and early 90s and all that. Yes, Madonna was not a black or Latin gay man.
I mean, well, the jury's out on whether she's a gay man. I don't know.
But at the same time, she did bring to the forefront in a very big way a dance and in a way a culture that mainstream America and the world did not know, and she didn't take credit for it because she put those dancers front and center. Like, I learned from them.
And when people would ask her where did it come from, she would say, like, look, this is from the ballroom scene.
And she put them in her videos and she took them on tour with them. Like, so a case like that, it's like, okay, yes, she took something that wasn't
gray area.
She took something that wasn't originally hers and she made it into something big and she profited from it. But I feel that in a case like her, she gave credit to the people that did it, and she never took credit for like, oh, I invented this. Like, I am the one who did Vogue. Like,
right.
So that's why
that was George Santos.
Yes.
That's
George Santos created Vogue.
Yes.
Voguing
as
right.
Kitara Revanche. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's the type of thing that it's like, okay, is it cultural appropriation though? When, obviously in a negative way, when you take something that is not mainstream and you bring it to the mainstream and people discover it and they enjoy it and you don't take credit for it, right? Because you have a platform, at that time she was like the biggest star in the world, right? So I feel that the whole thing with cultural appropriation, it's very layered. It's very complex.
That's what I'm saying. For me, it's a moving line. I feel like there's not like a hard line of this is it and this isn't it. And a lot of it, I think, also comes down to, which you have said a lot of times, it comes down to intent and context.
Right.
To what you were just saying, where it's like, if your goal here is to like expose people to this thing that is so, cool, and look, these are my friends, and look, you guys, it's you guys, but I want people to learn about it. That's different than
I think that the intent it's not bad, but I was going to say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but now after the story previously,
it's paved with umbrella.
With umbrella, or in my case, Paul Simon.
Paul Simon.
See, now the song is stuck in my head. Dun, 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 dun,
I'm pretty sure it's stuck in most of our listeners' heads.
Now I can't get it out of my head. Okay, let's get that in my head. That's a much better song to get stuck in your head.
I want her rosé.
What?
Kylie's rosé is really good.
Okay, when you said that, I thought of Rosario. I don't know why I thought Rosario.
But I said rosé.
But I thought of a rosary. Okay, it's been a long day.
I don't think I'm going to pray with a Kylie Minogue rosary.
Weirder things have happened.
I mean, it'd be cute.
Weird. So, yeah. Anyway. Bueno. We're thirsty.
We are thirsty. And you know what? New year. Little tweaks abound. So, we are now going to be handing out no longer the last soda of the desert, but the last Jupiña of the desert.
We're going to go back to basics because that's what we used to say in our first couple of seasons.
Yes. Us and Christina Aguilera. We're going back to basics.
Wait, I was like, when did Christina Aguilera drink Jupiña?
You don't know. Maybe she loves it every time she was here,
She's probably like,
listen, when she was recording her Spanish album with Rudy, maybe he gave her Jupiña.
Yes.
We don't know.
Yes. So, you want to have your first Jupiña first?
I do want to have my first Jupiña first. So, I'm going to give my last Jupiña to somebody that you and I both love and adore. And that's not the reason, though, that I'm going to give her the last Jupiña. It's going to go to Melanie C.
Well, yes.
So, Melanie C, Sporty Spice Girl. I recently read her autobiography, and in it she talks a lot about her growth and this and that. But she does touch on a lot of, how much the LGBT fans mean to her, and she's done a lot of things recently with Saint the Pink, which is a queer collective, et cetera, et cetera. And that's great, right? Because you always hear about all these artists who are always very like, oh, I'm an ally, I'm a this, I'm a that, and I believe them. But sometimes it helps when you see them put their money where their mouth is. And she did just that. She was supposed to play for New Year's Eve. She was supposed to play a concert in Poland, and she posted on her Instagram that and it was like at the last minute. I think it was maybe like a week before New Year's Eve.
No, I think it was like a couple of days before.
But most a week.
I heard it in the news.
Yeah, she said, it's just been brought to my attention that there are certain things happening in Poland that are affecting my LGBTQ fans. And as somebody who has always felt, a kinship with that community, and as a staunch ally, I cannot in good conscience go and perform in that country. And, I thought that was very big of her, because so many times now, these artists, celebrities, etc., claim to be about X, and then they'll go and do something that seems completely just like, but wait, that seems a little...
I'm not going to name names. A major recording artist just sang in Dubai, which is known for
all of their human rights, violations,
specifically against LGBT people.
Right.
So,
right. And so, and you can make the argument of like, oh, well, she's not that big of a name anymore, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I would counter with, you're right, she's not that big of a name anymore. So she probably, look, the Spice Girls are not hurting for money. The merchandising alone has made them gajillionaires 10 times over.
She's not as big as a name as Beyonce, but she still has an enormous following.
But you know what?
And she's somebody that wouldn't...
But the money would hurt her more than a Beyonce.
Right, but the thing...
So for her to say no, it's going to hurt her. What I mean is that it's going to hurt her bank account more than it was going to hurt like a Madonna.
Right. She's not hurting for money either. But she still is... the time any Spice Girl does anything, big or small, it's still something that's newsworthy because they're very well known, even if they're
pop
not
culture icons.
Yeah. So I read when that happened, and kudos for her for walking the walk and for talking the talk and walking the walk, because I sometimes hear of like different singers and celebrities, well, specifically singers that go do private concerts for
like all these
people,
Saudi princes,
and for all these Russian like
oligarchs,
and I'm like, I know at the end of the day you have to make a living, and sometimes it's very hard to, and just even as a regular person, whether you're buying this or buying that or eating here or eating there, to like be like, okay, I'm only going to
here and not there,
right. It's very hard because if you search hard enough, you could find
fault with everything
to a certain extent. If you look hard enough, So it's hard, but there's some things that are a lot more overt, and
Right.
and so good for her. So, well, my last Jupiña goes to, and this is something that's very important. So if you're local, especially, listen up. The Coconut Grove Playhouse, which is iconic, and it's
a
on
landmark.
the National Registry of Historic Places. And Velia Martinez, Adela from
¿Qué vas a decir?
had a huge career there among many, many, many people. They've actually signed a petition for demolition.
Oh, it's going through.
Well, they applied for one.
Okay.
For a permit, me, for demolition. And, something they always say about Miami is that, well, if you compare Miami to like New York, there's like no history because we're a new city. Yeah, but how are you going to get your history if you keep demolishing everything?
To borrow a little bit, because you mentioned Joni Mitchell, pave paradise and put up a parking lot.
Parking lot, yeah. And, the problem with Miami, and we've talked about this so many times, is that developers here have so much power, and there's developers behind this. So it's important that people understand that I'm the first one that I love a brand new shiny store, right?
We all like shiny new things,
right?
Of course.
I do, and I'm not one of these people that's like, don't build anything,
Right.
But there has to be a balance, and there's certain things that have to be preserved because they make up the fabric of your city, but of the culture, and Coconut Grove in general, there's so much history there.
Yeah.
So much history, from arts to like, Black history, like so many Bahamian Americans that live there, that there's just so much history in Coconut Grove, and you can't get rid of these landmarks because they are what define a city, a place, a culture. Mm-hmm. So I invite people to go to www.savethecoconutgroveplayhouse.com. There's also a Facebook page, and look into this.
Is there an Instagram? Only because we tend to post things on Insta.
I don't know if there is an Instagram,
but we'll look for it, and we'll link.
but it is out there because it's so important that these things are saved. So I just wanted to use our little platform to let our listeners, especially the listeners that are down here, know what's going on, because this is, it's just tragic that they tear that down to build, a generic, mixed retail.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Mixed retail, 10 apartments, a parking lot,
right.
And then, an expensive generic restaurant in the bottom.
Yeah. We don't need another organic supermarket.
Yeah. Not even that, but it's just, yeah, we don't need another place that sells $40 salads.
Right.
So check that out, everybody. So, bueno. That is the end of, I would say, of episode 1. Oh my gosh.
No, we're not going back.
Well, oh my God. Our episode 1 was like before the pandemic. It was BP.
Listen,
before pandemic.
When people tell me that they've gone back and listened, I apologize.
I don't think our shows from our first season were bad in content.
No. But the first 5, quality-wise.
Right.
Like quality.
I don't think they were bad in content and
right.
the way that you and I spoke and all that. But yeah, so audio wasn't all there.
At all.
It was like, it felt like we were talking in a storm. Like,
you're being kind.
Right. But you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Pero bueno. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for, being back. We're happy to be back. Yes. We have a lot of things this year again coming up. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
What? I'm just going to say, Bim Pam Pollo this year is taking off. We've got keep checking, guys, because we've got a hell of a lot of pop-ups, and I'm just going to say it. I don't know if we said it last year, but it's officially official. We're going to be at Sobe Wine and Food Fest.
We are going to be at Sobe Wine and Food Fest, which is a very big food festival. It's very prestigious, and we were invited, and we're kind of freaking out about it.
I think that's why I keep saying it out loud.
Yes. We're kind of freaking out about it because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm going to be like, inspectioning cada alita de pollo con una lupa and be like, the crisp is not crisp enough, and you're gonna be telling me grind it out, and
you're like, we've got people waiting. We don't have time.
But anyway, so yes, check also Ping Pong Pollo out.
I don't know why I feel like Ana Navarro's going to be there and she's going to be upset if she has to wait.
Yes. Oh, and we're gonna have some specials for Super Bowl for
that's
Ping Pong
right.
Pollo.
Yes.
So you know,
and we're doing that with Burger Beast.
Yes.
as well. So
So-
burgers and wings, Super Bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
hello.
So anyway, bueno, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your jupiña. And thank you for joining us so much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Cuídense, mi gente. Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.